Good evening, Park Heights guests, family, and friends. Thank you for coming out tonight to Park Heights Renaissance first community-wide public meeting. I'm Yolanda Jiggets. I'm the Executive Director of Park Heights Renaissance. I don't know about you, but I am very grateful to be here tonight to say we made it through one of the toughest years we'll probably ever experience. And we're on the heels of this pandemic, hopefully, and I'm encouraged about us returning to some sense of normalcy so that we can really get to the business of restoring and uniting the Park Heights community. I feel in many ways, I'm sitting here tonight like I'm just getting started as executive director because last year I wore so many hats, part-time chief operating officer, part-time CFO, sometimes a bookkeeper, some days event manager, some days crisis manager. But in seriousness, I tried to balance and I still tried to listen despite not being able to build the deeper connections that I had hoped to establish by now. But what I have heard loud and clear are some of your frustrations and questions that you have. So, I'll say we have to acknowledge it and we have to accept that progress in Park Heights has not been what you wanted it to be. I didn't create that fact, but I accept it as a means to learn from the past. But more importantly, to use it to put our best efforts forward to lead this community in developing a plan of action, to put accountability systems in place so that we can define and truly measure success and take this effort to bold new heights. So my mission is big for this community. My vision is big. Some may think too big. But what I can assure you is in this role, I'm here to give 100% effort. And as a native of Park Heights, I ask you tonight to trust that I want nothing but the best for this community. Trust that our staff want nothing but the best for this community. Tonight, we want to share an overview of the work and history of PHR, some of our challenges, but also convey where we would like to go in future years. I want us all to succeed. I want us all to be a part of a winning plan and vision. And as we approach where we want to go in future years, we need your input though. What good is a PHR plan if it isn't a plan you agree with? Without an agreed upon strategy, how can we be successful? How can we measure success? We hope tonight is the start of some real dialogue, the starting point for putting aside assumptions, putting blame on one another, and holding grudges. We need you to help us define the work ahead. We want to partner with the many organizations already doing great work in Park Heights and help us all build capacity. Because despite what our challenges look like to the media or from the outside, we are a powerhouse of great people. Please keep in mind, Park Heights has over 30,000 residents. Can you imagine what we can accomplish if we are all truly working together as a team? But to do that, we have to all roll up our sleeves. We must get organized and build systems and work strategically and first identify those priorities we want to tackle in year one and then in year two. But again, we need you engaged as much as you need us engaged. We have to walk this walk together. PHR cannot be responsible for all things that happen in Park Heights, just as residents can't be responsible for all things. If I agree to give my 100%, I ask you tonight to make that a two-way agreement. This work is too difficult for us to go at it alone or to go at it fighting. So now that we are coming out of this pandemic, I am sincerely looking forward to having some fun, building deeper connections, and continuing the fight for the much-needed resources in Park Heights. So welcome again, and let's begin this evening's presentation. So I'll be walking us through our PowerPoint presentation. Thereafter, our mayor will be joining us for a little dialogue, and we will turn it over to our panel discussions. I want to thank our residents that are here tonight and our partners. Senator Joe Carter may be joining us tonight. Deputy Mayor Ted Carter will be here with us tonight. And thank you again for all the guests who have agreed to join us in facilitating this dialogue this evening. So just a couple logistics throughout the meeting. Of course, please feel free to put your comments or questions in the chat so we can try to get to as many questions as we can. What we can't cover tonight, of course, we will be documenting, and we can respond accordingly, or we will make sure that that is included in our planning process. So thank you for joining again tonight. The master plan and the urban renewal plan is where it all starts. This was an exciting time for community leaders and stakeholders. They were finally involved in a process that gave them hope for a rebirth of their community after decades of watching it on the decline. This plan is apparently pushing up on 15 years, but the objectives in the plan are still relevant today. Pimlico redevelopment, eliminating blight and vacant properties, creating economic opportunities, safety, employment, transportation. And of course, everyone's interested in redeveloping housing in Park Heights. The magic question, who is PHR and what do we do? We've heard it so often. I want to make sure that we spend just a little time talking about this tonight. As most of you know, PHR was created as a recommendation of the master plan to create a CDC to support the community in implementation and monitoring of key objectives in the master plan. PHR today offers programs and services, as do most CDCs, which you'll hear about later tonight. Under my leadership, I want to also see PHR as your community partner. I want you to see us as that community partner, a partner to advocate for resources and policy changes, to be a convener of solutions, a partner in growing capacity, and a liaison to local, state, and federal legislators. The work of a CDC is very challenging. It takes dedicated staff who can work through those challenges, most often not having the resources needed to effectively do the work that they do every day. This isn't a PHR issue. I'm sure CDCs across Baltimore and frankly across the country will attest to the same. CDCs are often formulated without the appropriate resources or systems being in place to really support their work. But here at PHR, we're up for the challenge, and we hope that the community will stand in support and really understanding the work and the magnitude of operating as a CDC, doing the work that we do to serve the residents in Park Heights. You know, as I said, working for a CDC is an incredibly difficult and challenging job. On top of that, most who work for CDCs often live in the community or connected in ways, which is a plus because it often drives employees to do the work that's necessary, even when resources are scarce. And PHR, of course, is no stranger to having limited resources. Park Heights, in and of itself, is a major undertaking. It's a large area, one of the largest urban renewal projects in the country. Last year was a challenging year for all of us. But despite those challenges, I am very proud of the work that we were able to accomplish last year. Last year in January, I walked into all levels of challenges for PHR as an organization. Very limited funds, lots of staff vacancies, and to top it off, we were welcomed with a national pandemic. However, I am so proud of the work of our staff, consultants who jumped in to help us build capacity, our board's dedication to strengthening their capacity, and even pitching in to help all last year, and just our ability to service the community in ways we never even thought possible through a pandemic. It's difficult to even account for all of what we acknowledge as accomplishments because we were busy doing the work. We didn't stop operations last year. And, you know, for some of our staff, they'll probably say it took a toll on them. It took a toll on all of us. Several of our staff were personally impacted by COVID. Some of us had family members and friends affected. And what we saw happening in the community impacted us as well. But despite all of that, we distributed thousands of pounds of food to residents and seniors and vulnerable families, helping stand up food pantries at our schools and with local partners. We participated in COVID testing events, flu shot distributions. Our staff distributed COVID safety education materials and PPE to the community and businesses at large. We demonstrated the need and secured additional funding. We supported students, parents, and the schools in the transition from schools closing to virtual learning centers to reopening strategies to assisting with procuring and getting mobile devices for families and students. We hosted and we co-hosted events to encourage voting and completion of participation in Census 2020. We wanted all of our residents to be counted this year in the census. We joined the advocacy group for keeping the Pimlico Racecourse here in Park Heights. We hosted community conversations with developers, with the housing commissioners, with school superintendent, and we even joined in advocacy efforts, particularly around tenants' rights that actually passed in legislation last year. Safe Streets continue to mediate conflicts, make referrals, and provide support services amidst COVID restrictions in a way they were never used to working. Clean and Green ramped up grass cutting and debris removal to try to offset many of the staffing limitations at DPW due to COVID. I can tell you one thing, we burned out much of our equipment last year, really trying to keep up with the pace, but it's to their testament. They gave it a try, and we did as much as we could to ensure that the community saw a difference in trash removal despite the limitations. We prompted and made presentations consistently to try to attract developer interest and garner funding support for the Park Heights community at large, not just for PHR. We started administration of community grants this year, and we were proud to be standing and awarding our first grant awardee for the George Mitchell Fellowship Grant this year at the Preakness Black Eyed Susan Stakes. We hosted community cleanups, and our most recent event was in partnership with the community and three minority contractors that we cannot thank enough. We removed almost 40 tons of trash from the community that day. And we actually even had a little fun doing so. People saw us on the news, and we even had volunteers come from across Baltimore, from other neighborhoods, and from as far as Pennsylvania to support those efforts. Very proud that in December we were able to award 11 properties for new home ownership opportunities in the 2600 block of Loyola Northway. This block has had years and years of negative attention and frustrations from community leaders. And today we are proud to say that the work to redevelop that block is well underway. Let's talk about the question people often ask, where has the money gone? Where is all the money being spent in Park Heights? As a new leader in Park Heights, this question welcomed me in the door early in January of last year. And it's a sensitive issue, and I know it's one that the community wants to better understand. So tonight, I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to talk about this a little bit. As you can see, the chart illustrates over the last 7 fiscal years, approximately $34 million has been allocated to the Park Heights master plan area, of which over half of that, the Department of Housing and Community Development at the Baltimore city level, they were able to clear 60 acres of land to promote opportunities for redevelopment in Park Heights, much of which we're starting to see today with the award of the 17 acres. High and Park Heights Renaissance are partners in a project that will also be launched on those 17 acres. The point that I want to also make is there is a tremendous need for funding opportunities in the Park Heights community. You'll see that there has been funding allocated in small part to other projects and organizations that have supported the Park Heights Master Plan objectives moving forward. Park Heights Renaissance has received about $4.5 million of that funding over the last 7 years. Some of the questions and misunderstandings that Park Heights Renaissance is responsible for all funding in Park Heights, I want to be transparent and I want to be clear that we need all the funding that we can in Park Heights, and we begin this road together. We advocated for additional funding. As you can see from the chart prior, we needed that funding. But I want to be able to explain also the double-edged sword of continuously garnering support for funding for Park Heights Renaissance and Park Heights as a community. This year, we were happy to receive and be appointed $2.4 million annually of the Pimlico slots revenue that comes to Park Heights. But what that means is Park Heights Renaissance is not sitting pretty. We do not have an infusion of funds. 2.4 million, 1.275 is dedicated to community grants, to administer grants to community residents, to ensure that there is some funding available to spark development opportunities. The remainder of that funding is $1,125,000. In prior fiscal years, the last fiscal year before the award of 2.4 million, we received $740,000 of that Pimlico slots funding. In fiscal year 21, as you can see, we received more funding, but in actuality, the difference in the funding levels equates to $385,000. And while we are grateful for that additional funding, I want to also talk to you about what that additional increase is helping us to do, which is essentially to build capacity, to put in place the tools that we need to effectively manage the responsibilities of supporting you, this community, and the redevelopment and revitalization efforts. That $385,000 is just scratching the surface, but it has afforded us an opportunity to fill long-standing vacancies. We didn't have a chief operating officer. We did not have a finance director. We did not have a full-time bookkeeper. We did not have an executive assistant to support the leaders in the organization. We did not have a director of community and human services. That money is also allowing us to upgrade IT equipment, tools, and services. And basically, Park Heights Renaissance, just like any other organization, we're a business and there's a cost to doing business. So this money also supports operations. It supports basic business functions, rent, utilities, insurance, health benefits, office supplies, etc. I summarize that to say there's a need for all of us to continuously be fundraising for Park Heights and to meet the needs and objectives for this community, not just for Park Heights Renaissance. Our fundraising strategies and plans are for the Park Heights community at large. We want to support the efforts for fundraising for a new library, which is long overdue. As we all know, there's not been a library in this community in almost 20 years. We want to be able to support continued operations and improved operations. We still have gaps in operations that would help us operate in an optimal situation. There's always a need for capital resources in Park Heights. We want to be able to garner support for additional homeowner repair grants and other stabilization. And we want to be able to support operations not only for Park Heights Renaissance, but for building capacity in the many organizations that already do great work in Park Heights. Again, we can't do this work alone. We need operational resources for Park Heights Renaissance, for service providers and community-based groups that are working in Park Heights. We also need the authority and trust to do the work. We need the community to understand that this is a new PHR. We're here to support you. We're here to be transparent, but we need you at the table and we need that trust in us to be advocates for you to do this work. And of course, we need capital resources. And last but not least, we cannot do this work without partnerships.
We are positioned to far better than what we were in the past. And it will continue because of the robust team that Yolanda has put together and restructured, that the success will be greater for us to move forward.
So we have to be thoughtful, we have to be strategic, we have to be transparent, and we have to be collaborative in this process by talking to the community, saying, what's the priority for you? How do we get there? What does it look like to walk that out? What are the steps? What are the metrics? How do we measure the progress over time?
I will say the needs in Park Heights, the challenges are there, but I want to say that this is a community of great assets, and that really lies with the community. There are long-standing homeowners here. There are residents that have put in the work, and without their voices, we can't put forth an effective plan. The community voice is a top priority for me. Community trust is vital. Community input must be heard from the community leaders, and the community's concerns need solutions. All in all, that equates to the community must help us drive the plan for Park Heights. Their voices are vital to the success of redeveloping Park Heights.
Let us know what's going on. We need to know because, there's inequity with us across Northern Parkway. And we need to know what's going on, what's coming into our areas.
You need a really qualified community organizer who's going to get out and going to go down to the various agencies that are involved in decision-making for this area and begin to pull that information and develop, in this word everybody hates, a plan for achieving the goals that Park Heights Renaissance wants to achieve. A goal, plans are not written in stone. They are your guide to get you to your achievement of your goal. And that's what has to happen. That's one of the things that has to happen. The other thing is you have got to reach out to the community and let them know how important it is for them to get involved again. So you've got to say to them, I know you trusted and you hoped and you thought that things were going to move forward many years ago. That didn't occur. But here we are now, and we have a new opportunity to begin to address what it is that we want to see in Southern Park Heights. Not going to move swiftly. As I said, you take a map, you put it on the wall, you divide it into sections, and you go into each one of those sections and you do some small things so that the community sees small things being accomplished. Start at Cold Spring Lane and go up to Wiley and clean up that area. Go from Wiley up to Oakley and clean up that area. from Oakley to Belvedere and clean up that area. They see that something is being done. Simple things like getting street lines so that people know where cars belong and all of that. Small things that say to the community, we're beginning to move toward revitalization. They will start coming out. But that's the way you get people reinterested. Don't start with big things because you can't do big things. You don't have the funding and you can't do it. So you need small things. But people will see that. That's what Park Heights Renaissance has to do. They don't have the funding nor the staffing and everything to accomplish what goals they've been told they are to accomplish. And so, they leave the weight on Park Heights Renaissance.
Our housing and economic development approach is not just about building new homes. Our focus is on the people and about building a community, which includes increasing home ownership, public-private development partnerships, including increasing minority and women-owned business opportunities. We want to create economic opportunities across Park Heights. And most importantly, understanding the needs of the current homeowners must take place for us. While we know that there is much to do to truly create a diverse mixed income housing stock in Park Heights, we are encouraged about the new housing opportunities coming soon, and we look forward to supporting current development partners working in Park Heights today, and we look forward to welcoming new ones. This year, we will also begin our strategic planning process for the organization. We also want to make sure that we're lockstep in developing that strategic plan in a way that is in line with what the community's plan is. So some of our top priorities as it stands today, we want to focus on community unity. We want to bring the community together. So we are looking forward to relaunching in-person community meetings in a way that's safe. We want to make sure that we establish accountability systems, but that starts with developing a plan. And we hope that the community signs off on this plan and really makes a commitment to be engaged to help us develop that plan. We want to work, as I said before, to help with fundraising and advocacy for construction of a new library. We want to take Park Heights to the next level. We want to this year also submit an application for a Main Street designation. We all know we need commercial redevelopment in Park Heights just as much as we need new construction of housing and affordable housing opportunities for residents here in Park Heights. We want to ensure that there's an increase in minority and women-owned business participation and local hiring as we go through this development process. We want to ensure effective administration of community grants. Our other priority is to make sure that we work with the community to make sure there's effective and accountable city services collaboration. We want to make sure that we stand with you and work on making Park Heights a clean and safe community. And we want to make sure that all through this process, we're creating economic opportunities, particularly in home ownership opportunities for residents here in Park Heights. So how do we get started? I think tonight we will begin the dialogue. We know that this is not the last time that we'll have to have this discussion, but let's start tonight. Let's talk about it. Let's take the steps to devise that plan. PHR needs your help. We cannot do this work alone. We want to do our part, but it must be a community effort. So thank you guys for listening. I hope we were able to provide some information that is helpful. I hope it provided you a little inspiration. I know it gave me a little inspiration talking through it. I'm really looking forward to us coming together. Despite what has happened in the past, what faces us as challenges, I'm really excited about making my home neighborhood what I know it could be. And now I want to welcome another person that's no stranger to Park Heights. Please welcome our mayor, Brandon Scott, back to Park Heights again tonight. Thank you, Mayor Scott, for joining us again. Everybody, you don't need a welcome, but for those who may not know that are on the line, Brandon Scott is from Park Heights as well, and he is our new mayor. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you, Alonda. And I'm literally live from Park Heights right now. I am in Park Heights as I talk with you this evening.
Excellent. So we're going to get into a dialogue with the community residents right after, but I wanted to spend a minute with you having an opportunity to tell the community at large, but you're here in Park Heights tonight, so we're going to look at it as you're talking to us directly tonight. But why don't you tell us one or two of your priorities that you really are proud of and think, that you really think that is applicable to what we can do to move the needle on this redevelopment strategy in Park Heights. But likewise, want to be fair, I want you to tell us what you think the community can do to also support in that effort.
Yeah, I think that one. I think what I would say is that our priority areas, what I am bringing to the entire city and to city government, absolutely. When I think about the world, when I think about Park Heights, it was pushed me into service. The things that we heard on the video, feeling like we were ignored if you were below Pimlico, feeling like you just lived in a neighborhood that no one cared about, seeing the things that I saw as a child is what made me want to be in public service. And through that I am now operating city government, and the priority areas that we have all can be operating, help to us build operations in better Park Heights. One, of course, is building public safety, and building public safety not just across Baltimore and Park Heights with a coordinated, holistic, community driven, all hands on deck approach so that we all work together to make Park Heights the safest neighborhood it can be. The second is the most critical, making Baltimore equitable. We have to confront the legacy of inequitable policies, spending, and the things that have led to us being in the situation that we are today. And that's how we have to make the investments into neighborhoods like Park Heights so that we can truly have our neighborhoods be the best reflection of themselves. I don't know a Park Heights that my grandmother knew, where they left their doors open and there were no vacant houses. But I want to know that in the future, and I want my future unborn children to know that. And the last I will say is prioritizing our youth. We have to make sure that we're investing in the promise of our young people instead of their failure. And that I believe those things together, as we build public trust as well as we are being responsible stewards of how we handle city dollars, will help us build a better Baltimore, but in particular for me, build a better Park Heights. And to your second question, Yolanda, you said, what do we need from the community and partnership to help transform the community? First and foremost, I need Park Heights to continue to be Park Heights. That means I need you to be proud of your neighborhood. I need you to stay active in your neighborhood and be a real active change maker and be working along Yolanda and everyone else in the community to change what Park Heights is. That can refer to anything. We know our neighborhood has a lot of issues and challenges that we have to address. That could be trash and cleanliness. That could be violence. That can be helping our older adults and seniors. That can be helping our youth. That can be helping people re enter into society. And we've come so far as a neighborhood, but we have so much to look forward to. And when I see the things that are happening in Park Heights, like the folks who are helping out every day down in Candy Stripe Park and the plantation and all the great community-based things that are going on, we can understand together we can make our neighborhood the best version of itself. None of us, and myself included, and Yolanda, are saviors, but together as a whole, we can continue to redevelop Park Heights in an equitable way that doesn't just push us all out, but really invites us back in for those who had to be displaced. But we can also do it in a way that is community driven.
I'm excited. Thank you, thank you. And I don't know how often you hear that question about what can we do, because it has to be a two-way street, and I want to make sure that we're doing our part. And thank you for chiming in on my sentiment exactly. We have to do this together, and we can do it. So I'm excited. So thank you, Mayor Scott. You gonna hang around while we get into the discussion with the panel?
Yep, I'll be here for a few minutes. I'm good.
Okay, great. So now we're gonna move towards working and talking through with our community leaders. We have 4 community leaders here with us tonight. And we also have my Chief Operating Officer, Dedra Lane, who will be co-facilitating with me tonight. Welcome, Dedra. How are you?
Good evening. I'm doing well and equally as excited. Excited to take on the helm of this work and bring about a new, bolder, brighter Park Heights. I'm excited.
Me too. I'm ready for the road ahead. Dedra, for those who have not met her yet, Dedra Lane is our Chief Operating Officer. So we're co-leading this ship. She started with us in January and is quickly getting acclimated and diving right in. So I just want to do a quick introduction. And I'd like to turn it over now to our panel so that we can introduce our community leaders tonight. Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
Good evening.
So I'm gonna
Pretty good.
thank you guys for joining tonight. I hope you had an opportunity to hear me walk through the presentation. So want to first give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and your community association, and then we'll start the dialogue. Stephen, you want to start?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephen Johnson. I'm the president for the Pimlico Terrace Neighborhood Association. So that's inclusive of Park Heights Terrace to Oswego, all the way to Cold Spring, where it meets Park Heights Avenue, Loyola Southway, Loyola Northway, inclusive of Roland View in there as well. And so really excited. I'm an educator by trade. I teach ninth grade special education, English. And I just want to be a servant to the community. I appreciate Park Heights. It's definitely taught me some things, even though I'm not natively from Park Heights, but I am a native son of Baltimore City. And so I'm just honored to be here tonight. Thank you, Ms. Jacobs.
Please call me Yolanda, Stephen. Thank you. Pastor Randall.
Yes, Ms. Jiggis, thank you. I did that. I am a native of this or son of Park Heights. I am the Neighborhood Association president for the CCHB. Our boundaries are Park Heights to Ricestown, Belvedere, to Northern Parkway. And I'm also the founder and CEO of At the House Incorporated, and enjoy working with EHR and excited about this dialogue we're going to have this evening.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Logan, good evening.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. Can you see me okay? I had to use my little iPod Touch. My computer doesn't do too well with Zoom. I am the president of the Pimlico Good Neighbors Association, and our boundaries are from Park Heights to West Northern Parkway to Preakness Way, back to West Belvedere, and back up to Park Heights from there. I'm from Baltimore, and I've lived in the Park Heights community since September of 1966. I remember how it was much better back then, and what it could be, and hopefully we'll go back to at some point. And that's all for me for now.
Thank you. So we also have Miss Minerva on the line. Okay, so we lost Miss Minerva. Okay. Do we have someone else on the line? Okay. All right, so let's get started. We have our panel members. Thank you for joining us tonight. So I'm going to start the dialogue by asking a question. I wrote down a couple of things, and then we could take it from there. So you guys heard the video. You heard a little bit about what my vision and strategies I would like to set forth. So I wanted to ask, do you agree that it's time to work together to finalize a plan for Park Heights? And if yes, why do you think this is important, and what do you think that we need to do to get that started? And if you feel no, tell us that too and explain why.
Well, I think it's absolutely essential that we work together. Park Heights has a rich heritage of working together. It's a melting pot of many nationalities that we haven't really tapped into. And through PHR's outreach and community efforts, I think that it will pull us all together. One, understanding each other and each other's um, special needs and special talents, special challenges. And then when we realize what all of that is, when we come together, we'll be one force to be reckoned with. So I think it's a great idea that we all collaborate together.
Anyone else want to chime in? Maybe
I would
what do
definitely
you
agree.
think those priorities are to help us get started?
I definitely agree with Pastor Randall about working together collaboratively. I was on Instagram, scrolling through Instagram the other day, and came across a live. And the young lady, she was saying that she's an entrepreneur, African American young lady, and she's like, "Hey, listen, if I'm not collaborating with somebody on a project, then I know I don't want to be a part of it because there's no way that I can get to the place where I'm trying to get and bring my family to by myself." And that resonated with me. The reality is that if we really take the whole village mentality serious, and it's not just lip service, we have to come to a point where we are pooling our resources together because we are definitely a community in an area rich of resources that doesn't just always sit in the office building, but that resource could be right next door to you. And so that's why it's important for us to be, neighbors and to really understand what true community is, because that's when we can move everything forward.
I agree. I agree. So what do you think we have to do to kind of overcome some of the challenges of working together? I mean, let's be honest. We know that sometimes there's a little push here and shove there. Some people don't like this, some people don't like that. How can we overcome that to get to a place where we're really working strategically and really mapping out a plan that we can stick to um, and really move the needle on things here in Park Heights? What do you think, Mr. Logan?
One of the biggest challenges, and like you just said, is us working together. The truth and sad fact is, some of our people don't want to work together. We work against each other. And we have got a lot to overcome as a people. Commissioner Harrison said it in very short terms in reference to the crime in the city. And he said briefly that it's a cultural problem. So basically, what he seemed to be saying is our folks got a lot of stuff with us, and we got to get past this. But no one wants to address that issue. People want to sweep it under the rug, and it's not going to go away. And until we learn to love ourselves and love each other and stop working against each other, everything we do is going to be for nothing. because we can't continue to tear up our own neighborhood and blame that on everyone else, because this is where we have to live. And I don't plan on moving anytime soon. I'm 62, so I'm settled. But when people start moving out of the community because other people in the community are tearing it up, then it's just destined for a downfall. And we got to stop doing that. You know, we got to stop expecting someone else to come in and invest billions of dollars and millions of dollars, however much you want to put a price tag on it. And then we tear it up, because when you invest in something, you're looking at getting a return on it, and a positive return. You're not investing to lose money. You're investing to gain money or whatever else it is. So we got to start healing ourselves mentally and socially. And it's going to be a long road, because unfortunately, this is a deep problem that goes back for centuries, as you know. So we've got to start somewhere, and it's going to take time, but we've got to be consistent, because we used to own a lot of the stores in the neighborhoods, like corner stores, that people from other countries are now owning. And if they didn't own those stores, then those stores could potentially be just another abandoned building, because we have to learn to pull our money together and keep the business going, not have it for the short term and then it's gone and then it's abandoned again. And no one knows what else is going to be there, you know, other than a nail salon, a hair salon, a bail bonds place, a mattress store, another church that the community don't need. We got enough of that. And the neighborhoods don't look that much better. So that's my take on it.
I want to jump in here and say thank you to each of you for your responses to that question. And you have really offered some things for us to think about. I want to pose this next question to us, given what has already been stated. We've already talked about the vision of PHR being one of collaborative partnership with community leaders. You all have offered that there is a lot that we have to overcome as a community. Some of us don't agree to work together. There are learning concerns, and we have to learn how to play nice in the sand, so to speak. There are some challenges for us to work together, including some historical trauma, some healing that needs to happen. What would you say PHR and community leaders have to do to hit the reset button and truly begin building this type of collaborative partnership? Acknowledging all those things, but what must we do to hit the reset button?
Edra, I would definitely say, well, thanks for that question. I think the simple answer to that is let people know that you're real, right? Let people know that your intentions are real and that you are genuine. And the way you do that is by engaging the people and, showing up at their doorstep, you know, giving them, calls, when things are coming down the pipe, making sure that they are aware, really having that personal connection in the community goes a lot, because people are looking for real McCoys, and people can smell fakeness from a mile away. And the worst thing that you can do is say, I'm coming in the name of the people, but you faking, you phony, because then people really turn off. And so we have to show genuine by engaging the people and finding out what the people want, what the people need, and finding out how to be a bridge to that gap.
Thank you for that, Steve.
And
Anything that
if
you
I could
have?
jump in,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I could jump in on that. That's absolutely correct. But I'm gonna go a little step further. We need realness. We've had phony and fake. We've had phony and fake, not just with PHR and other agencies, but I'm talking about in the police department, in the education system. We have had people fail us. And we want, when you say you have an open door policy, that it's not a glass door that's locked, but that it's an actual open door, that you will actually listen to the people of the community, and not just listen, but hear us. And when we mean by hear us, when you say you're going to do something, be a man and woman of your word and actually do it, because actions speak louder than words. And we have a lot of words that be thrown at us through the Pimlico Racetrack Initiative, through the school initiative, through the police department, and all of these other agencies. And we want truth. So when you speak, we wanted to speak to power, actually give us the truth and bring it to pass what you say. And I think that building that trust and building that rapport with the people in the community, and we have to start small. If you say you're going to clean the community, come out and clean. If you say you're going to help a senior put a door on her house, and maybe one senior in that block, help her put the door on her house. But by doing these small steps, people will begin to see that your agency is doing what it says, and that we can trust the move of PHR. And I think that's where it could change.
Thank you, Pastor Randall.
Mhm.
So while we're going through this, I just want to remind everybody, you can join in this dialogue. So please feel free to, we are monitoring the chat room and making sure that we're documenting. We've only gotten one comment so far, and I want to read it, but it's no question. So I just wanted to pause and just remind everybody that you can put your questions in, and we do want to have dialogue from the audience as well. But someone simply said, there's a mentality in Park Heights that if you don't live in Park Heights, you are not vested in Park Heights. We need to dispel that myth. We forget that some folk work in Park Heights, some folk own business in Park Heights, and some folks worship in Park Heights. We are all in this together. I know I appreciated that. That was right on time.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put that out there as well, that we did get that in the chat room.
So I'm just
So,
going to,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
Deidre.
I was just going to circle back. I wanted to ask Mr. Logan if he wanted to comment on the question that was previously offered, or are we ready to move on?
No, not really. I've said my part that I think it's what we need to do, and there's other things, but we do need to work together. We got to stop killing each other, and stop trashing neighborhoods. Take some of that money that some of the folks have on the corners with the different activities, and invest in these businesses. Because as I said before, we used to own a lot of this stuff. Now we don't. So how is it that we can't own that? You know, we should be able to. So things do have to change. It's going to take a lot. It ain't no overnight thing.
And
So
it's not going to
I'm
be an
just hoping
overnight
that things
thing.
are going to get
Right,
better.
right. So let me ask
No,
this
no,
question.
because we see
Oh,
what's going on. Yeah, we see what's going on in Fells Point. It's getting out of hand. How long is it going to be before some of that comes here? It's only a matter of time. But this is something that's going on through the whole country. It's not just here.
right.
So we got to get some things under control, sooner than later.
So
Because if we don't, it's going to be the same old thing. We're going to have neighborhoods that do well and then some that never recover. And, they're going to continuously have blight, they're going to have food deserts and the same old stuff. And other groups are going to excel, and then we're still tied at the pier because nobody thought to untie the ship and sail out to deep waters. The furthest we can get is maybe up to the lake or the river. But everybody else is going out to the deep blue ocean. And we have that ability to do the same thing.
Thank you, Mr. Logan.
thank you. So I have because I'm about what's the next step. So I know that the digital divide has been a challenge in the community. So I appreciate you guys tonight for working through the technology, getting set up here tonight. We are going to be going back to live meetings for those who are comfortable starting in July. So that's the first step to me. Get us back in a room. Let's get Ms. Jews, I think, laid it out very clear in part of what she said. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's put the whiteboard up. Let's get the strategies on there. Because what I don't want to do is we can all be working on different things, but if we don't have a plan that we agree with and that we can check on that plan every month and scratch off what we've done and identify new steps, you know, we're going to be continuously working in a little bit of chaos. So are you guys that's on the phone, people in the audience, are you ready to come back to live meetings, or is it just me?
I've been ready.
Okay.
I, I'm a
Okay.
people person. I like to be in the synergy of the room. There's something about it when we come together and we're together positively. Mental juices start to move, and it gives us an opportunity to hear one another and not just look at each other on a screen. So yes, I'm ready for in-person meetings. I am.
All right, sounds good to me. Everybody else shaking your head? All right, let's do it. So we're gonna, that's gonna be an immediate action item for us after this meeting. We'll poll our community leaders and really make sure that we find a date in July that we can get started again. We've already gotten a commitment from Pimlico to host those meetings. It's a large, I tried to think of a large space where we can spread out. So we've gotten that commitment from them, so we just need to pick a date. So action item number one. Thank you, everyone. So I wanted to, there's a question that came up, not even a question, but a comment. And Dedra, you'll smile when you hear this because we were just talking about this yesterday. So it says, I'm 70 years old, growing up in Baltimore City. City government employed staff to clean the streets. There were TV announcements about keeping our city clean. There was also the Afro Clean Block contract. People need to be taught to keep our city clean. Just having periodical cleanings in the neighborhoods is not enough. What can be done to keep our areas clean ongoing? I love that question. We were just talking about this yesterday. Dedra, you want to talk a little bit, or you want to turn it over to the community leaders, and then we could talk about action item number 2 on our list. That's right on time. Thank you for that
It
question
is,
and comment.
it is absolutely right on time. And I think that the way we get to that place is the renorming of us as a community, of us getting to know each other, getting to know who our neighbors are, getting to know who is visiting our community, and letting them get to know us. So for me, it's really about engagement, it's about providing information, and then it's about giving people responsibility and holding them accountable, but acknowledging, recognizing, and rewarding people who are taking small steps towards the larger goal. We are a people of community. That's just who we are. And we take great pride in participating in unison, coming together in celebration, coming together in periods of grief and mourning, because that's where our collective strength lies. I am convinced that that is who we are, that is who we be. That's not what we do, that's what people say we do, but that's who we are. And once we can reclaim that for ourselves, one person at a time, ushering it forward to the generation ahead, leaning back and pulling forward the generation that's coming, and getting in a collective space of honor and support, we will see the change that we are looking for, because it's in our mirror. It's next door to us. It's in our grocery store. We just have to reaffirm that in ourselves, one for another, and support it in each other. I think we can. I know we can, and I'm convinced that we will.
And to take it a step further, I want to commit to really this year. You know, we have to make adjustments. We've been thinking about how best to utilize our clean and green team. Our Clean and Green team, we definitely want to be more focused, and the visual in the community. And we had a conversation yesterday about, remember the days of the Afro Clean Block, and clean block competitions, and so we want to get back to that. And so we want to use Clean and Green this year, and we hope that the community works with us in an organized way, that Clean and Green is back in the community in a way that we're working to select lots, nuisance lots that you want us to maintain, and that we can do those well. But we also want Clean and Green to be in the heart of the community, really working through how do we do community cleanups, how do we have community block competition. So I'm gonna put that out there too for a quick discussion. I know, Stephen, you actually are very interested in this, so you wanna start us off with that? What do you think about Afro Clean Block Days? You remember those?
I don't remember the Afro Clean Block days. I'm
So young.
free. But I have read the Afro and I have heard stories, so I'm familiar by way of the grapevine, which is very familiar in our community. We know. How'd you hear that? Well, I heard it through the grapevine, right? So I heard about it, and I understand that it allowed neighborhoods and neighbors to come together and, hey, I'm going to put this flower out. I'm going to put this flower pot out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, wash those marble steps. I'm going to do all these things to keep your block tidy and clean. And I think that that also helps to build community. I think one of the biggest pieces as well is education. One of the biggest things, especially in the field of education, right? We always say, didn't your mother teach you some home training? I'm sure a lot of people heard their teacher tell somebody that, right? Didn't your mama? But the reality is, what if I didn't grow up with my mama? What if I didn't grow up with my grandmama? What if, I raised myself? So no, my mama didn't teach me home training. So that means that we have to educate our community. We have to let them know, hey, reminders, this is our trash day. Hey, reminders, this is our recycling day. Hey, this is where you can take things constantly, because the reality is we have to shift a mindset. It is a mindset, and behavioral change can happen, but we have to be intentional, and you have to continue to allow people to see it and hear it in order for that behavior to shift. And so once we continue to educate the community and really put them on point with that, I think that way we can start to see some headway when we talk about trash, blight, etc.
Anybody
Well,
else before we
well,
pass
well, I can
around?
say this. I am old enough to remember Afro because I participated in that as a child. But I think it takes onus upon us as presidents. I mean, first of all, it's encouraging that 3 presidents here on this panel are all men. That's amazing to me, and I'm excited and I'm applauding that we are taking our rightful places in the community. But we have to do our part as neighborhood association presidents, ordering roll-offs, having annual cleanup days, going for the grant for Be More Beautiful, where you have the children helping keep the area clean, and going to the community to assist seniors that may not be able to come out and clean. We just received a donation from the Pimlico racetrack for the flowers in the communities. We went around and we gave those flowers out, and we helped the seniors that couldn't get out dig holes and put flowers in their yards and help them set up mulch. It's what we are supposed to do as a neighborhood association president. We are to teach. We are to model the behavior. We are to educate and let them know what needs. And if we don't get the young people and the seniors working together, we're lost. But here in our community, we're working together to do that. And I would love if HR would bring the Afro clean blocks together. I would even go a step further. I would like to our area compete against Logan's area, or Logan's area compete against Mr. Stevens' area. But it'll get us all together and all riled up so that we can really keep Park Heights the way it should be. And it's a beautiful place. It is a beautiful place here in Park Heights. And all it needs is just a little tweaking. And that's why we're here as presidents, is to do that tweak.
I accept that challenge, Pastor Randall. And just to let you guys know, you're going down, and I would like to wager a chicken box from your favorite chicken box spot
Got
if
you.
you wait, chicken
That's from
box.
president to president.
Yes, sir. It's about half on us. But Yolanda, going back to as well, we had our neighborhood association meeting, and a representative from DPW came, and one of the biggest things I asked about is there should be a way for neighborhoods who have high volumes of illegal dumping, blight, and things like that to not have a cap on roll-offs, because right now our association have cap on our 4 roll-offs for the year. So now it's like, where's folks going to take the stuff? And that puts us at a big handicap. So I think that we really have to look at, when we talk about policies, looking at these little nuanced things, right? That can make a ginormous, and I say ginormous because I really want it to be understood, a ginormous dent and the issue. So I think with those little things, looking at those, it's always in the details, and intentionality goes a long way. And so if we can start to have that conversation, if you can help facilitate a no cap on our roll off request, I think that would be awesome. And or for our area, if we could work on finding funding to purchase our own roll offs that are Park Heights, that stays in an area with Park Heights, and then we can order them like that. So some type of way. Let's be creative.
I love that idea. Let's talk about that definitely a little bit more. That's a good point, Stephen. So we have a couple additional presentation points we want to get through on the second half. So before we wrap up this part of the discussion, I want to turn it back over to our 3 community leaders. I have been taking notes. So we have a commitment, it sounds like, and we'll poll our other community leaders. But I've heard from some, so I think we all know we want to get back together in person. So we'll be working to put that together, sending out the dates, and we'll set that up. The second thing I heard was a challenge to get back to, let's compete about whose block looks best. That's some good competition right there. I'm with that. So thank you. I want to turn it over to you guys if you want to say anything to close out. What we're going to do next is we're going to do a second half of our presentation because we want to give you a little deeper understanding of, I talked about the organization as a whole, but we're going to give you a little preview of the people who are actually doing the work every day. And then we're going to go into a second dialogue talking about what does collaborative partnership look like to help us here in Park Heights. So thank you, community leaders. It's ironic that we ended up with all men tonight. We lost Miss Minerva, I think, through disconnection, but it does look good, and it feels good to see our men who sometimes get a negative rap being at the forefront, knowing that we know that you do good things, but it's good to see you guys representing tonight. So do you want to say anything in closing out before we switch to the next presentation?
We are our worst enemies, but we can also be our best encouragers. And I think if we focus on the positive and make sure that we uplift each other when we fall, I think that we can do the job and the task at hand. And that is to bring Park Heights back, support our seniors and our youth, giving our education system a chance to flourish, and to bring economic stability back to Park Heights. And we can do it together, one house at a time.
I like that plug, one house at a time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you got it. Didn't you?
All right, guys.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please, I hope you stay on so as we continue through the rest of the presentation, and we'll see you out in the community. Thank you.
Thank
Our community and human services programs are at the foundation of what we are here to do. And that is simply to service the residents, students, seniors, returning citizens, or parents. They are a dedicated team driven to give their very best for the Park Heights community.
What I'm looking for is really enlarging the footprint of Park Heights Renaissance, of really making an impact in areas that this organization has not yet had the opportunity to do for a multiplicity of reasons. Looking for a willingness to partner and collaborate, understanding that we don't all have to have the pie. If we each bring to bear our skills, our resources, and our experience, we can all win. All of us is inclusive of the neighbors and residents of the community of Park Heights. It's not just the organizations and institutions, although they should be comprised of the neighbors and the residents, but it is really creating a place and a space where this community feels valued, feels heard, and feels like they bring benefit to the discussions that impact their lives.
Park Heights Renaissance is the lead agency for 5 schools in the Park Heights community. We are proud to provide an integrated focus on academics, health and social services, youth and community development, and community engagement.
Having PHR connect all of the dots, I think, is a great resource for the Park Heights community, because then it allows us all to have that center to share resources and to collaborate with one another, which only makes us even stronger. We are seeing and experiencing families have had great loss. Families have lost family members, families have lost employment, families have lost housing. Families have struggled with virtual learning. It's been a tough environment for the students, for the families. There's been a learning loss there. It's been difficult attendance-wise. Some families don't necessarily feel safe sending their children back to school, so we are still not at full capacity. We are still hybrid. So I think that there is a great need for mentors. There is a great need for additional programming that would provide supplemental academics for students. Basically trying to work to get students back at level and feeling confident where they are after such a long duration of virtual learning and learning loss.
The relationship building is very, very, very critical, especially in the time that we're in. Our families need help and needs. So just being that build is really important. At some point, we all were affected by the pandemic, whether we lost a loved one, we lost income, or we just lost a sense of normalcy. So everybody was affected by the pandemic. And kids are especially affected by the pandemic because they're young. They don't understand. They may understand a little bit, but they don't understand it. And honestly, we as adults, we didn't understand. We didn't know what COVID was at the beginning. You know, they were saying, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, don't get close to anybody, get close. You know, we were confused. So the confusion of being a child in this space, and then, you know, switch from being virtual and can't be around their family, can't be around their friends. Kids are going through it. They're very confused, and I feel like post-pandemic is going to be is going to be a need, helping kids get back into the swing of quote unquote normalcy, but this is not normalcy anymore. It's going to be our new normal. We have to figure out how to get kids adapted to our new normal and keeping them engaged in that new normal.
HIPPY is our nationally accredited program that focuses on providing parents the supports to prepare their preschoolers for successful entry to kindergarten. This year, we included a workforce development component to the program that provides greater support for our home visitors. We were fortunate to secure funding to relaunch this amazing program again in 2021.
What HIPPY does is gives a jump start into that preschool, pre-K, kindergarten learning environment where they've already learned their ABCs, they've already learned sight words, they've already learned how to start counting dots and doing things like that, to give them a head start once they get into pre-K, so they won't be the statistic child. Success looks like every 3 to 5 year old walking around the Pimlico, Park Heights area with a hippie bag and a book. and all they want to do is read or do an activity with their family. Success also looks like the family gaining something from hippies. So not only is it educational, we do wraparound services as well. So for the parents, we have job training. We have financial training. Those are some of the activities that we have that will also enhance the entire family. So it's a great model because it gets you into the home with the child, but then it also gets you into the home with the parent. So you can see how you can help to make the situation, a little better.
I'm sure most of you are aware of the success of the Safe Streets program here in Park Heights and across Baltimore City. But tonight, we'd like you to take a deeper dive in understanding really the nature of the work that they do.
Like, we not going out there in the street with no vest or no gun to protect us. So we really going out there stopping shootings and homicides. That's our main focus. So the work is serious, And I grew up in this community. Like, I grew up in Park Heights, so I know a lot what's going on in Park Heights. I grew up in the community, so I kind of like was doing the work before I was getting paid. It just so happened God sent a type of job that we can get paid for this kind of work. But I'm just passionate about it because a lot of like Park Heights is a community. It's like you working with your family. Like, most of the people in the community I knew 20, 30 years. And it's like I'm coming back helping my people, So I always keep that, no matter where I land in life or what job I'm doing, I'm always going to have that in the back of my mind, trying to help as many people in the community as I can. Everybody is being affected by violence, even if it had not happened to you, it happened to somebody, it happened to your friend, son, things like that hurt you. So I just feel like Safe Streets got a real good vision. And I feel like if we can get the community to do the same thing we doing, I think it can work.
We see violence as a behavior, a learned behavior. And just like you would address any other epidemic, we treat violence by establishing contacts with key individuals, those who are most at risk for engaging in these behaviors that could lead to violence. We talk with them about opportunities and alternatives for violence. Is there some way we can help them resolve the conflict? Is there a way we can help them save face? Is there a way we can help them maintain their sense of respect and dignity so that it doesn't erupt into violence? And again, we are big on providing wraparound supports for individuals through case management to help them get what they need. People are in hot moments. They are at the point where they have made the decision to commit a violent act. So the staff have to be artists. They have to be artists with their words and their ability to talk someone off of that ledge. Many people don't get to see that. These are staff who don't have the option of driving home with the community in their rearview mirror. They simply go around the corner or down the street, and they are with the same community members on a day in and day out basis, which helps support their credibility and their trustworthiness. But it also places a heavy burden that there's really no stepping away from this. And it's a price to pay. So it's important to be mindful of the overall health and wellness of the individuals who are doing this work, because people don't get to see the belly of the beast. They only know, as the staff stated, what makes the news. People don't know that there are conversations that are happening in back alleys or in abandoned lots or behind buildings or under porches, because somebody is trying to save a life.
Our Clean and Green team kicked off the season strong, leading a community-wide cleanup where we were able to remove almost 40 tons of trash from Park Heights. We look forward to Clean and Green strengthening their connection with the community this year.
Success for Clean and Green this year is a fully composed team. It is the completion of the work as agreed and assigned with the 17 acres and the parks that are in the footprint of Park Heights Renaissance. It is regular cleaning and greening. It is community engagement and involvement around that, such that the residents are seeing the Clean and Green team as a ready resource.
If the environment is not healthy, then you're not going to be healthy. So that's why it's important that we keep the community safe, and safety has a lot to do with what you see on the streets. Safety has a lot to do with making sure they have adequate lighting, and safety also has to do with cutting the grass. Because if you cut the grass, then you can see the rodents riding around, and that impacts your health.
What I do see is that we listen. Sometimes when you have people that are collaborating, it's more of I think, where everyone knows there's no I in team. It takes many different opinions and many different perspectives in order to gather information to figure out what's going to work, the best thing that's going to work. And one thing about this new leadership here at PHR, we definitely are listening. We are definitely trying to find the best resolutions that will help the community grow. That's the big thing. We want to help the community grow. Park Heights has been stagnated for a very long time. And now we have new vision, new introspect, and we just want to grow our community and help in the transition of a better, bold Park Heights.
People are interested in the Park Heights community. They want to know what's going on in the Park Heights community as far as housing, but they also want to know what is they going to offer them if they move in the area.
Collaborative leadership to me looks like it really is. It's leadership that really isn't leading, but really perhaps helping to facilitate a gathering, helping to facilitate spaces where everyone has a voice and an opportunity to fully participate and take on leadership themselves. I think that's fundamentally the difference between that and an organization that thinks it's just going to come in and tell a community what they need and how they're going to accomplish it.
I think the success that the organization is put out there, the show, the transparency that is going on right now. I don't know if that has happened in the past, but I tell you, for me being on board, it energizes me. And we have had several, I think one town meeting and one's coming up pretty soon. And the transparency of that, I think, will, develop and bring the connection between the two, the community and the organization, that the mission is on.
The first step to right-sizing the expectation is to acknowledge what people's experiences have been, to give credence to what people have felt and what's been very real to them, to just own that, and to also make amends for that. We may not have created it, we could very well have inherited it, but because we acknowledge it, we acknowledge the weight of the pain of it, and we take responsibility for that and apologize. Simply that, apologizing that people have had to experience this pain, period. Once we're able to do that, I think we're able to clear the path to ask the question, not make a statement, but to ask the question as an organization, how do we serve you well? And when we ask that question, we understand that there's a level of accountability on both sides. There's a PHR level of accountability and there's a community level of accountability. Because if truly we are in this community to restore the hope and right size it, we must acknowledge the capacity of this community to have endured what this community has endured. And people to still be standing speaks about a great deal of resilience. How do we highlight that and say everything you need, you already have? We're not here to give you the answer. We're here to hear the answer and partner around how we bring that into reality. Because this is our Park Heights. It's not PHR's Park Heights, it's ours. How do we do this together?
Welcome back. We are going to quickly, time flies when you're having fun. So we're going to jump straight into our next panel. We have our senator is also logging in. So while she's doing that, I want to get started with some introductions. I want to welcome first Deputy Mayor Ted Carter, who is new to Baltimore. Welcome to Park Heights again. I'd like you to just go ahead and introduce yourself, and everyone can introduce yourselves very quickly. And by that time, I think we'll have Senator Carter logged in as well, and then we can go ahead and get started. So welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Yolanda. Very professional presentation. Excellent. My name is Ted Carter. I'm Mayor Scott's new Deputy Mayor for Community and Economic Development. Emphasis on the community, joining Baltimore from Cleveland. So I'm in week 7 and enjoying it and look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Mr. Chu Smith, how are you tonight?
How you doing? How you doing, Yolanda? How's it going? You doing okay? Can you hear me?
Oh, see, yes, I'm here. I can hear you. Something's going on. So when you're talking, you might not hear me, but I hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Chu Smith. I'm a Baltimore native, former Harlem Globetrotter. I have an organization called Chu Smith Youth Empowerment. We just help kids use the game of basketball to help them with life skills. And I'm just honored and privileged to be here with you all today.
Thank you. Plus, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Plus Jones. I am the president of P&J Contracting and also a 42-year-old business that's been in Park Heights for all that time, as well as the founder or the co-founder of the Equality Equation Project.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we are about 8:05, so we got about 20 minutes to talk about what does collaborative partnership look like from your perspective and how that partnership can help us here in Park Heights, and likewise, how can we help you as a community in what you're doing? Anybody want to jump in?
I'm always going to pay respect to, Deputy Mayor, pay respect to you.
Okay, thanks, Chu. It's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, sir.
For me, I've heard it all during this call, Yolanda, from the previous panel, and I'm going to buy that chicken dinner to the winner, and I will happy to be a judge. So I think the collaboration has been exhibited on this town hall. I just heard about the word joint accountability, and so Mayor Scott is committed to working with the stakeholders in Park Heights. I'm here to operationalize his vision around equity and economic and neighborhood growth. Two of the gentlemen on this panel are collaborating and with their vision, and so we look forward to supporting that. And so we can only reverse the conditions in Park Heights and achieve the vision through collaboration. It won't work any other way. And I think Pastor Randall and Stephen Johnson really said it so well earlier, so I won't, I'll stop there.
Plus, you can.
Thank you, Chu.
Yes,
so I think this collaboration is the key. It is the only way that we are able to function and get through this kind of perpetual underclass state that, Black folks seem to be in, not just here in Baltimore and in Park Heights, but also in America in general. So I think what is wonderful is that Yolanda has, in a way, brought all of that to the table. Because what happens is that there has to be a lighthouse by which all of us look to and say, lead us into the next space. And Yolanda has done that. I can't speak on a lot of the things that she's done as far as really effectuating Black wellness in this town, but she has been a soldier on the ground on the front line. So much so she was undercover, and I was giving her a hard time at one point. But comes to find out that she was effectuating Black wellness in procurement spaces, in the neighborhoods, in the community. So I'm all in 10 toes deep with Yolanda and what she's doing. But the key to the collaboration is that everybody's able to look to her and follow her leadership and understand that she's bringing everybody to the table, and setting a plan is key. That way, all of the community stakeholders are there and they understand what their assignments are as Yolanda leads us into effectuating in that space. So I think what needs to happen is what is happening, and we just have to all humble ourselves to Yolanda as our leadership. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that Yolanda is about it. She is that person that cares dearly, so much so that she puts her own self on the line in trying to effectuate Black wellness. So the collaboration is the key. It's the only way to gain community health and complete, community wellness in Baltimore and in America and urban areas in general.
Thank you, Plus. I really appreciate that. For those who know me, I don't really like attention, so I appreciate you saying all of that, Plus. But I mean, you did summarize it pretty well. That I'm really not about playing games and in any way trying to compete with people. So yeah, it is, to me, I really want to dig deep into this conversation and really get to serious collaboration. We really have to collaborate to make this happen. So thank you. I look forward to how we figure that out. So thank you, Plus. But, one thing you said, that follow me, I don't want people to really follow me. I want people to stand beside me. We got to do this work together. So we have our senator here tonight, and you're right on time. We just started, and we really we're just getting into what does collaborative partnership look like from each of our respective roles to do the work that we need to get done in Park Heights. So I'm going to take a moment and acknowledge our senator. Thank you for joining in tonight. Everybody, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm sure she needs no introduction, but welcome tonight, Senator Jill Carter.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you. I wanted to say that I've had the pleasure already of meeting with Ted Carter. We talked about this district and we talked about Park Heights in particular. And so I say that is the beginnings of collaborative partnership. I met with Chu Smith, I think a couple of years ago, maybe more than that. I think I was running for Senate maybe at the time. And so I'm very excited about his project and fully support it because I think it's an example of what we need. And then it's good to see my old friend Plus Jones Jr. on the call. He represents what we need in terms of making sure that we are working with our minority and locally owned businesses, which is critical to the future. So briefly, I'm Jill Carter. For the last 3 years, I've been a senator. Some years before that, I was a delegate in the area. It's always been frustrating and problematic for me, the fact that we have such a great disparity in Park Heights when it comes to economics and opportunity. And so now that I am the senator, it's a priority for me to do what I can to make sure that we level a playing field and that we include residents in every single aspect of our building for the future, whether it be the rebuilding of Pimlico, rebuilding Park Heights generally, the Park Heights master plan, the Park Heights redevelopment. And I think, I don't want to say too much because I'll wait for a question because I missed so much of the conversation, unfortunately, but I'm not sure where we are. But I think this panel represents collaboration and the type of collaborative efforts that we need in moving into the future. The one thing I will say is a lot of times when it comes to my role, I feel like there's somewhat of a lack of understanding sometimes of what the role of a legislator is. You have your great city council persons, and I saw Councilwoman Middleton on earlier, and basically, and you have us, and basically these are, I would summarize our job in 3 ways. One, we're here to create legislation to make it possible to improve the quality of life for all residents and businesses in Park Heights, and wherever that can happen legislatively, that's what our priority is to do. Number 2, we have the ability in some instances to help bring and direct resources to projects. And to the extent possible, that's what we have done. That's what we have done, and that's what we will do. And then finally, we represent the people, the voters, for first and foremost. And so our job is to make sure that whatever is happening is to the benefit of our constituents, the voters, the residents, and the people. I caught the tail end of a prior discussion, and someone spoke to my heart in speaking about the amazing resilience of people in Park Heights that have been neglected for far too long. I will end with this, that let's be very honest. For many years, for many decades, we haven't had political leadership with the will to bring equity and equitable opportunity to Black people in this area. I do believe this is a new day. And I know that we hear these things all the time, but it really is. One, I'm the senator now, and I have this as a priority, and many people don't know. I actually was pummeled into office initially on a minority business agenda by minority contractors who were not getting any support from legislators for their initiatives. And so, but then so many other problems were overwhelming that, I had to deal with so many other horrible things above that sometimes. And then the final thing is you have a new city leadership, and, I'll let Ted Carter speak to, what his vision is with Brandon Scott's office. But I do believe because across this country, there's been, a newfound long overdue acknowledgement and reckoning for the need for long overdue racial justice and equity. That's the first thing that's to our benefit at this time. We're in the right time. And then number 2, we have a different and a more committed political leadership, both at the city level and at the state level. And I venture to say we have not had that. And this is not an indictment on any individual, but we have systems in place in the city and organizations and somewhat shadow government and those that have the vision for what the developers are going to bring. And for far too long, they have directed the leaders of our city in their agenda, which has not been always the people's agenda. So we're starting new at this time, and we have tremendous opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. That was excellent. You got me excited. So there's a question in the chat, Chu, that might would ask you to chime in on. They asked, how are you involving the youth of our community in the development of the plan? I love that question and want to make sure that we definitely are including the youth. But this is your area of expertise. What do you think we could do to get the kids and younger people involved in the planning of Park Heights?
Well, is it possible that I can comment on the collaboration part first and then go into that? Or can I?
Absolutely, absolutely, okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, the first thing on the collaboration, it speaks for itself on how you prepared and put this panel together. The first group really touched my heart in the way they had the synergy. And that synergy, and speaking from Mr. Mitchell, who spoke from a wise counsel perspective with the wisdom of years past, we need to listen to, our elderly folk or folk that have been before us. I think that was critical. And then when you think about Pastor Randall speaking about the competitive stuff in terms of the cleanup day, making it fun again, for us to kind of get together. And then Steve, just speaking about the realness and being genuine to being who we say we are. And I think that on this panel today, I have relationships with each and every one of you. And one of the things that I think is key to collaborating is we all have our own special gifts and talents in the areas that we're enriched in, but we have to put the ego aside and always be selfless. And that's what I love about the people that's on here today. You know, we all are selfless. And when you're selfless, you can hear each other, listen to each other, and really rally behind each other in their gifts. And I think that when we can walk together where people can see the realness in the way we walk and the way we get involved and the way we make sure that our communities soar and scale at the highest level, I think that's what's going to really resonate to people that are broken and people that feel like the trust is gone. So I think that we have to show each other amongst this group here that the trust is at the forefront with each other and we believe in each other and we show how we walk with each other in a sincere way. And then as we do the things that we need to do for our community, that will take us to that level where everybody will get on board and it won't be that standoffish way. So I just wanted to speak on that because I think everybody uniquely spoke eloquently on what is needed in our separate spaces. But from a collective standpoint, we have to be a part of a team that's structured, organized, and putting plans in place that are going to make sure that it goes to that level. And that's what I wanted to speak about from a collaborative perspective. The question on the youth, everything is predicated on the youth. You know, as I travel around the world, I've noticed that people put more money and more time and more energy into building up the youth so the next generation can be in a good place moving forward. And we have to show our youth instead of telling them, and we got to listen to them. You know, they're under certain conditions and certain situations that is a little bit different today. You know, broken families, don't have self-worth because people are telling them they're not where they need to be in their lives. They're looking at other things on social media to feel like they have to be with the Joneses or be like this person or that person. So they're doing things to their body. They're doing things to try to make money or get money or try to help their situation in the neighborhoods. We have to provide resources and we have to have training grounds to show our young people how to eat and how to be better and how to love themselves. And that's what we're trying to put in place with our project and to also support other projects to train. Because for me, I've always had the mindset to listen to those that know what they're talking about and be able to take that information and apply it. And that's what we need to do for our youth. Youth don't know about how to buy a home. They don't know how to open a checking account. They don't know how credit. It's a lot of things that we didn't know when we were young. And we had to learn trial by error. And I just think our youth, we need to be examples for them. And they have to see us get along. They have to see us grow. And then they'll fall in line because when you put stuff in place for them to do and you show them how they can excel, that our youth will stop hurting each other. Our youth will start listening and start loving and understanding what love is because we put something in place for love.
Amen to that.
So on point. Thank you all for your comments and responses to the questions. As our time begins to wind down, I want to bring our attention and focus in a linear way to our new deputy mayor. And I want to pose a question directly to you, Deputy Mayor Carter, to talk to us, if you would, about how you see your agencies and or your role as a collaborative partner to the community. It's so needed in Baltimore City, and we'd just like to hear from you through your conversations with Mayor Scott. If you could share with us how you see your agencies and or your role as a collaborative partner to the community.
Sure. Thank you very much for the question. And again, I can't tell you how excited I am to be here. Just listening to this conversation, I have a full heart. I had a full heart coming to Baltimore. It's only gotten fuller through the people I've met. And I have been to Park Heights. I've had a chance to walk as part of one of Mayor Scott's cleanup days. And I heard the point earlier in the evening about don't make it a one and done. It needs to be a consistent, continual focus on creating vibrant and clean neighborhoods. For me, I'm about collaboration. It's really part of my core leadership style and emphasis. And so what I've said to my agencies in my portfolio, so there's 12 of them. So I'll just go through some of the big ones that you mentioned in your previous comments: DHCD, Office of Planning, Minority Business, Workforce Development, and the Office of Planning. So each of those, there's 8 others are the ones that really, I think, the Park Heights community will intersect with the most. And what I've found in my career, so this will be the 7th mayor I've worked for in 5 cities, 6 of them African Americans, and the first in a way to hold the office, from Mayor Dinkins in New York City to Mayor Alvin Brown, who was the first African American mayor in Jacksonville, Florida. And so now I'm working for the youngest mayor in the history of Baltimore. So that's a first. And so across that journey, we tend to operate, and I think Les mentioned this, in silos and as a hand versus a fist. And so I've asked the leaders of my agencies to work collaboratively and to integrate. So when we do a housing project, the workforce office should be integrated into that strategy and that housing development. It shouldn't be a one-off. And we should also be creating things from a systems approach rather than transactional. And so I'm hoping that working with you, Yolanda, your team, that will be the approach we'll take in Park Heights, which is a focus of the mayor and mine. You mentioned some of the existing strength that exists in the community and the opportunities from Pimlico to those 60 acres that have been assembled that are ripe for development. Senator Carter and some of her colleagues have already sent a letter to the mayor making the case for investment out of the Recovery Act funds to catalyze that. And so Chu and Pless are working on things. And so I haven't seen in my career the latent collaboration. So the ingredients are here really. So just my job is to be a catalyst to facilitate on the mayor's behalf all of the strength that lies in this Park Heights and to make it go. And we're going to do just that.
Thank you, thank you. I just looked at the time. Time flies when you are having fun. So I just want to say this is the start. This is how we start. We've already started, much of us on here, but I think tonight was truly for me a reset. I felt good. I hope you guys felt good. And we heard some powerful things tonight. We've taken down some notes. We got some good ideas. I hope that we really take a look inside tonight and really believe in some of the things that you heard from the leaders, that you heard from the second panelists around collaborative partnerships. It's really not that hard for us to do this if we really, really commit to really trying to work together. We have enough experience amongst us all in this Park Heights community with our leaders, our elected officials. We can get this done. So I feel inspired. I hope you guys feel inspired. Thank you for logging in tonight. And I'm excited. I can't wait until we get together in July at our next in-person community meeting. We did not get many questions in the chat room, so I think we've covered everything that we got from the chat room. We have a couple questions that were for the mayor, and so the mayor's not on the line now, but we will make sure we get those questions to the mayor's team and make sure that we post this video tonight and any information that came out of it as to questions and comments. So anybody else want to do a closing comment as we bid farewell tonight? We are pushing up on the 8:30 hour, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But thank you so much for coming out tonight. I really look forward to this strengthening our partnership and collaboration, because I think we're already partnering, all of us on this panel tonight, but I'm saying this to the community as well. Collaborative partnership, teamwork, old school get-togethers, whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm looking for us to do this work in Park Heights. So anybody else want to say anything before we bid farewell for the evening?
I just briefly want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you to you, Yolanda, for your leadership. And I think that even your convening of this meeting shows your commitment and your leadership. And I look forward to working with everyone, particularly the most important people on this call and in Park Heights as we move forward. So thank you, and everybody here. I think you have my number. Feel free to call.
Thank you, Senator Carter. Thank you, Chu Smith. Thank you, Pless Jr. And thank you,
you.
Deputy Mayor Ted Carter. I really appreciate it. And of course, my co-chair, Dedra Lane, my COO. So good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
Debbie.
Thank you for joining in. We look forward to working with you and getting this work done in Park Heights. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Good night.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you, Senator Carter. Take care, everybody.
Take care now.
Deputy Mayor.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bless. Be safe, buddy.